You guys ready? Everybody ready? So I just want to start off by saying thank you to Patty for letting us do this interview. I look up to you a lot, and so being able to choose you for my group as a leader for us to interview is really awesome. So thank you for agreeing to do it too.
Considering me to do it.
Yeah, of course. So we're just going to ask you some questions about your experience as a leader and just kind of your style as a leader. So how would you describe your leadership style?
I know I had thought about this before you even asked the question. My leadership style, it really comes out of a foundation of basically nursing and stuff, that you're taking nursing theory all the way to when you're working with staff. And it's being honest, it's listening, it's problem solving, it's looking for the best solutions for challenges, and hearing people. The thing I think about is, for a long time I did hospice care, and in doing leadership or even management, some people are confused by the fact that I say that I do it a lot like I did patient care and families, because I look at the whole situation and the whole people and what's going on for them, both patients and staff. And sometimes we're in the position where we don't have any good choices, and so it's a matter of looking for the least worst choice in hospice and in what we're doing in lines of resources and our timing and what we know and regulations. All those things play into that. And so with my leadership style, I try to look at that with people and help people understand what the criteria are, why we're doing it in certain ways, It does cause challenges.
Yeah, great. Did you always picture yourself as a manager, like when you were first working as a nurse, or was this like always your goal to be in charge of people?
Far from, far from. I really enjoyed working with patients, and what drew me was that I felt it was important that within the work of leaders or managers is the ability to understand the frontline work, because of having done it. And for me, it was important. And also for the administrators to understand, and I felt that I could be sort of the intermediary between administrators and other managers and staff, and was just drawn to that and stuff. My last time here, when I came back to group health, I actually came as a consultant in relationship to hospice care, and told them that since they didn't have the manager, I would fill in for a while, and it was 17 years later when I moved over here. So,
wow.
Oh yeah, you can keep on looking, please.
Okay. So what strategies have been most successful for you in team building or working like with interprofessional teams?
I think the biggest strategies is looking at what do you have in common. What are your common values in working with folks, and understanding that usually when I get in a situation where there's maybe camps or silos, it's what's our common thing, and so working with other leaders around that. It's baseline most of the time is patient care, but there's other variables that come into place, and so it's sort of as people start taking their turf and making it grounded, it's a matter of reminding us all that we're coming back to a real common denominator and stuff, and that's been a really helpful thing to look at with that. Building teams, I think what I've done very consciously is I like the idea of what a community is, and that we all in any team or any group of people, we all have the same values in lines of being valued and needing to be respected and being honest, and not one person is more important than another. And so that isn't something that I will not speak out about, so that if somebody's thinking, well, I'm the this and I'm this, and I have this, it's like, okay, but I'm this, and I have a thought, and so that's always helpful to try to build those together. And then also keeping in mind that it's really the processes that are the challenge most of the time. It's not, it's people are trying to do their very best, and they have good intentions and stuff. So
nice. Okay. What challenges have we faced with team building, and how do you overcome when those challenges arise?
Sometimes successfully and sometimes not as successfully. You know, I think it's a matter of just what I was saying before, is that the honesty. I do believe in courageous conversations and stuff, and being able to set a tone for that and stuff, so that it's not like people are going to think that, oh, you're going to come at me with a concern later on, or I'm not going to know where I stand with you. Most of the time, people do have a sense of that. If they, and a courageous conversation might be, I was working, well, a story. I was working with these two home health aides who were in these carols right next to each other, and they're making calls to the patients, and one of the phones wasn't working really right, so there was a phone, and so they were, every day they would come back in and the phone would be someplace else, and they would blame the other person for that phone being there and stuff, and so they were like having this conflict and stuff. So I did this facilitated time with them about what's going on and why, you know, and they were feeling not respected or appreciated by their coworkers, you know, and so we talked about that, and it didn't seem to be part of either one of their points of view. And a couple days later, I was in that area and noticed that the social worker who was using those same carols at a time was pulling the phone over and putting it there. And so the reality was that it wasn't either one, they were just blaming each other when it really wasn't them. And I said, do you know how much havoc you're causing by moving that phone? Right. Can you put it back when you're done? And it was like, okay, you know. And we could laugh about it, you know. And I think humor and appreciation of our individuality and our challenges as individuals and stuff. So
great. So what specific leadership contributions or accomplishments are you most proud of? And I have to add that Sarah told me yesterday about an award that you received.
Yeah. The Manager of the Year for the Home Care Association and stuff that I got. And I think that was a really special kind of thing. And it was nominated by staff and my colleagues and stuff. So that was a really nice way, because that's who we're and how that is. That's a sort of a nice sort of byproduct, as opposed to sort of like, oh, something you intentionally do. I think it's intentionally doing the best work you can. But so that was nice and sort of interesting. She said that.
How do you respond to conflict with an employee? And I also have conflict between team members, which you definitely answered that already. But like, if you have a problematic employee, how do you deal with that?
Those courageous conversations, depending on what that's about. What is it about? You know, I think we have performance management that is, they don't know the information. It's a lack of knowledge, lack of skill. That's one thing. One way of having challenges. The other one is a lack of awareness, that sometimes people just are not self-aware in how they're coming across or what they're doing. And those, I just, you know, begin pointing those things out and try to do it in a way that's compassionate and also can be heard, because if people come defensive, then they end up not hearing what you're talking about. So finding the right time to do that, depending on whether or not it's a safety issue. Mm-hmm. You know, if it's a safety issue, you got to do it right away, you know. But if it's an issue of, you know, maybe how they're working on the team or how they're being presented, those pieces. And I think just those courageous conversations about, you know, where that perspective is and stuff. So.
Okay. What strategies do you use to create a workplace that's positive and engaged?
I try to come in positive, you know. You know, and we talk, you know, that's one of the things I've talked to people about, is that when you get off the elevator, this isn't your home where you can be a grouch in the morning, you know, really. It's a matter of, you need to bring your full self to it, and you need to be consciously working on what those relationships with each other are about, and how do you change up that if there's a relationship, so helping people understand those different pieces.
How do you get employees involved, or how do you keep them engaged?
Engaged? You know, I try to look at who they are and what their interests are. So, because I think we all want to do something that's going to be interesting to us, and where that fits, and asking them what are your goals and what are you looking forward to doing.
All right. So, when you first became a leader, were you nominated? Did you choose it? Did you feel like you were ready?
I was encouraged and I chose it. Was I ready? I think so. I don't know. I watched the leaders in my career, the managers and the people who supported me and what that was about, and I think they taught me a lot. And some of them taught me good things, and some of them taught me not so good things. But yeah, I did choose to do that because doing the patient care piece had gotten sort of redundant, and in some ways, and I didn't want to. I wanted to keep on learning and stuff, so, and growing, and so it was a choice.
Okay. So, what advice would you give to future registered nurse leaders?
Well, I would, to seize the time, get to know what you're needing, what you're needing, and doing self-care as well as caring for the patients and families, and what they're doing, regardless of what realm you go in, research leadership, clinical leadership, any of that. Do it with your whole being as best you can, but don't let it overwhelm you.